A hallmark of traditional education is that it's irrelevant to students' lives.
My role was to change the learning paradigm.
Education is a human right.
The fundamental concept of what a good teacher does and what good teaching is, to make that all possible.
The most important aspect of schools is the effectiveness of the teacher.
The quality of the teacher is such a crucial thing.
Welcome to Episode 2 of the Yidan Prize Foundation TV series. In the first episode, Dr. Charles Chen, founder of the Yidan Prize, shared his vision for how education can change the world. Since 2017, this vision has united some of the world's most inspiring minds and educators who are redefining what learning can be. In this episode, we'll visit remote classrooms in Colombia and Tanzania, where evidence-based strategies are unlocking new potential. As the quality of teaching is crucial, true learning reshapes the mind itself. Join us as we explore how innovative teaching goes beyond transforming lessons. It's transforming lives. Change begins with our mindset. So let's hear from renowned educator Professor Carol Dweck as she discusses the concepts of fixed and growth mindsets.
I would give hard problems to grade school students, and some of them would say, "Wow, I was hoping this would be informative," or "Wow, I love a challenge," and others would look like they were suffering a terrible defeat. Ultimately, we trace this back to a belief that students had. In a fixed mindset, it's fixed, you've got a certain amount, that's it. In a growth mindset, you believe it can be developed. And we saw that each mindset created a whole different world to live in. Neuroscience research shows that when a student believes that ability can be increased, developed, when they make a mistake, the area of the brain that learns from mistakes catches fire. That brain becomes energized. They learn and they correct the mistake. That research shows that when people are in a mindset where they believe their intelligence is fixed, the mistake provokes almost nothing in that learning area of the brain. In fact, they're so threatened by the mistake, they turn off that area and veer away from the mistake as quickly as possible. So this idea of you have agency over your mind, you have agency over your learning, is shown to lead to better learning, especially in the face of challenge.
We don't have the concept of failure in the Escuela Nueva. Everybody can achieve if they put the effort, if they put the time, if they continue. So this is why there are so many elements in common with Carol Dweck's wonderful theory of growth mindset. And we definitely see it in many of the aspects of Escuela Nueva, where there's a whole concept of growth mindset.
¿No trajeron saco? Hola, mi amor. Van y desayunan, ¿vale?
Imagine a classroom where mistakes aren't failures. Instead, they are steps to growth. It's a classroom where students aren't just chasing grades, but are building resilience and belonging. That's the power of a growth mindset. It's not just trying harder, It's learning smarter in an environment that lifts every student up. For decades, traditional education fixated on results. But in rural Colombia, visionary educator Vicky Colbert flipped the script. Her Escuela Nueva program did more than improve grades. It spurred a growth mindset into action, transforming classrooms into spaces where students own their learning.
My role was to change the learning paradigm. The learning paradigm from transmission of information to more social construction of knowledge, So definitely for me, pedagogy was the most important part, how to do it the right way. You come into a classroom and you see a different display of the classroom setting. Sometimes you can see children working individually, because sometimes they can work individually, or in pairs, or in group. So it's just like a living room. It's just like a living room where people don't have, they don't feel this strain, of learning. It's something that can go very relaxed and more conversation-like and having fun.
Muy bien.
When you walk into a classroom where kids are growing their brains and they're backed up by teachers and the teachers are backed up by school and district administrators and national policy, you see joy. You see kids riveted by learning. It's noisy because they're excited and they're collaborating. And you see a teacher who's not standing in front of the room spouting the lesson. You see a teacher who's walking around and supporting the collaborations, supporting the learning, sitting with a student and saying, show me how you're thinking and let's see if we can help you understand this better.
Le vamos a ceder el turno al vocero de este grupo para que nos oriente un poquito sobre qué actividad es la que vamos a desarrollar.
Actividades de aplicación. Trabajo con mi familia. 1.
Tengo en cuenta incluir aspectos como condiciones de vida y actividades económicas de los habitantes de nuestro país. Busca el material.
A continuación, los secretarios se desplazan para traer el material que se encuentra en el rincón de sociales sobre la biografía de los personajes de esta época. Niños, despacio, vamos a hacer la actividad despacio. Bueno, nosotros en nuestras clases tenemos 3 momentos, ¿sí? Que es el momento de exploración, donde el niño experimenta, conoce acerca del tema, se conecta con ese tema, trae sus conocimientos de currículo oculto y los comparte con otros compañeros. Luego tenemos ya las actividades de práctica, que es donde el niño va a poner en juego lo que aprendió en ese momento de exploración. Y luego vamos a hacer las actividades para la casa. Esa es la actividad que vamos a hacer mañana, nuestras actividades de práctica específicamente.
Cuenta que en la independencia de Colombia ocurrió el 7 de agosto de 1819.
Vamos a que el señor vocero nos lea el punto número 3, para que por favor lo lea.
Francisco de Paula Santander, sus cualidades eran: Francisco de Paula Santander era un estudiante. Un día se encontró la casa de un criollo.
Esa es mi función, corregirlo y guiarlo a que entienda que de esa equivocación puede aprender, ¿no?
No desperdiciar el agua.
Me comprometo a
no desperdiciar el agua.
A no dejar los grifos
abiertos.
Entonces vamos a escribir líder.
that the learning guide is like a silent teacher, but that poses the intelligent questions for children to acquire higher level thinking skills and then to apply knowledge, because it really forces children to learn, to think, to compare, to analyze. Initially, I wanted to have the scientific method behind the learning guide. I really wanted that a whole scientific method be behind so that children would acquire science through the learning process.
Agregamos agua y un poco de aceite en uno de los frascos.
Agua, entonces les falta agua. Agua, secretario, no has traído agua. Agua.
We design the learning guides with teachers, wonderful teachers in the different areas that have the experience, because we analyzed teachers do not have time to plan wonderful lesson plans, not even in elite schools. So what they do with a learning guide systematizes the questions that a children is going to do in an organized way. So it facilitates replication, and that's important.
Claro, me preocupa llegar al otro día a la escuela y no ver todas las caras de los niños sonriendo. Eso me angustia. Me angustia pensar de que un niño de esos viene de un hogar disfuncional y que de pronto venga maltratado, ¿no? Hay diferentes tipos de maltrato. Y en esta sociedad, y Colombia, por ese país latinoamericano, y tener tan arraigada la violencia.
¿Qué se siente ser líder?
Pues yo me siento alta, me siento superior, me siento la más mayor de todos en todas las mesas, porque siempre...
Colombia is the first democracy in Latin America, so the concept of democracy is important for us. And I think we try to nurture it through the social competencies in schools. We want to have good citizenship in children.
¿Qué se siente, Rayo? Que usted no tiene un rol, ¿cómo se siente?
Normal, pues me siento normal, no tengo ningún sentimiento por no tener un rol, solamente soy yo.
Vamos a interrumpir un momento la clase para presentar el gobierno estudiantil.
El vicepresidente, por favor, puede pasar al frente. El secretario, por favor. Tesorera.
Mi rol, a mí me toca ser vicepresidente.
Yo soy el secretario y yo le ayudo a la presidenta en todas las actividades que hace.
Yo soy la tesorera y fue escogida a medio de votos y campañas, y la docente nos ha contado todo sobre eso. Y
después de eso fuimos a elegir los comités, que son los siguientes: comité de convivencia, comité de deporte, comité de bienestar.
That through pedagogy, you can acquire peace and education for peace. And democracy, of course.
Yo los arranco y tú vas cogiendo, ¿sí? Ahora vamos a tapar el hueco sin apretar la tierra, ¿sí? Ahora vamos a coger otro palito.
Aprender a escuchar, aprender a expresarse, porque de hecho si el niño no aprende a expresarse, pues no va a haber aprendizaje cooperativo. Entonces es muy importante, este aprendizaje cooperativo también hace que el niño sea autónomo en lo que se está estudiando, en lo que está aprendiendo. Pero estos niños, pues, afortunadamente, han aprendido a ser independientes, ¿sí? Y el hecho de ser uno independiente, el hecho de ser uno responsable, el hecho de ser uno autónomo, eso genera responsabilidad y confianza también en los padres de familia, y que pueden dejarlos ir más tranquilos a donde ellos van a estar.
It goes against a lot of the traditional way of thinking. And this is why we bring parents into the picture, because we also want their parents to feel that their children are special.
Que ella no tenga que quemarse con los tamales. Porque ella dice que ella va a seguir, y yo digo, no, mami, la verdad es que la hechura de los tamales, pero para quemarse. Yo le digo, no, mami, tienes que estudiar, superarte. Pues ella dice que quiere ser doctora, y también que quiere ser policía, pero de lo que mejor por el lado de que sea doctora. Pero yo mejor dicho, estoy muy atenta con ella, y como le digo, le pido mucho a Dios que me dé vida para poderla, lo que ella quiere. más adelante.
Colombia tiene una gran cantidad de su población está viviendo en el área rural. En el área rural entonces encontramos bastantes escuelas que son multigrado. Multigrado significa que un solo maestro atiende varios grados. Mi rutina para llegar a la escuela. Para llegar a Montecristo nosotros nos levantamos a las 4:30 de la mañana todos los días.
We wanted to reach the rural areas because they didn't have the same opportunities that children in the urban areas had.
Llego al municipio de Guamal y me desvío hacia el área rural, hacia el occidente de Guamal, hacia la cordillera occidental. Y Montecristo lo encontramos básicamente en una meseta que hace parte del inicio de la cordillera oriental, perdón.
The whole concept of growth mindset, it's so important because even if they have not received the best, let's say, opportunities, once they have a little opportunity, they have to make the most out of it because their brain is growing and their intelligence is growing. And you can ask the students, how they feel. And they feel happier also in the way they learn because they're aware of their learning process and they can talk about the way they're learning. So I think these things help a lot, especially your own security, your own personal security.
Culturales para el día de hoy. Entonces, para poder iniciar, vamos a leer la actividad de adaptación que realizó el maestro para que ustedes tengan conocimiento de qué es lo que vamos a llevar a cabo en el día de hoy.
Some of the best ideas came from people who wouldn't have had a voice in the past. And let's apply that to education. Do we think we know who's going to make that kind of contribution? Isn't it our job to empower students, to give them a vision of themselves as contributors, and to foster that all along the way?
A growth mindset helps students do more than just absorb information. It helps them develop motivation, independence, and a genuine love for learning. But none of this happens without strong teachers. The key to student success starts with supporting educators. Escuela Nueva understands this. Since 1987, they've provided teachers with continuous training, practical classroom strategies, and ongoing support, ensuring educators are equipped to foster real growth in their students. Let's take a closer look at how their approach works and the difference it makes for both teachers and students.
Bueno, mi nombre es Hermilson Marín Franco. Soy docente hace 29 años, de los cuales 28 estoy aquí en esta sede. En este momento tengo los grados segundo, cuarto y quinto de educación básica primaria para un total de 21 estudiantes. Estos estudiantes están distribuidos más o menos en las edades de 7 a 12 años de edad.
Y de la energía. Soporte de cristal. Es lo que está abajo que soporta el bombillo pequeño.
La educación que estamos ofreciendo en Montecristo es con la metodología Escuela Nueva, donde predomina el modelo constructivista. El estudiante aprende construyendo. Si ustedes se fijan, en mi salón yo estoy ubicado en un rinconcito, el tablero está en otro lado, los estudiantes, no hay un lugar exclusivo donde encontrar al maestro, sino que el maestro está en toda el aula. El maestro debe estar orientando mesa a mesa, mientras que en la educación tradicional el maestro se para frente a un escenario y orienta desde allí toda la clase. El maestro lo sabe todo y el estudiante no tiene la oportunidad de dar a conocer todo lo que él conoce. Y entonces hay que aprovechar esos conocimientos previos que tienen los estudiantes para que asimismo el proceso educativo pueda fluir, pueda rendir, pueda dar mejores resultados.
Yo te iba a ver. Ya tomé.
Entonces, pues la labor que se realiza con con los estudiantes del área rural, es una labor muy satisfactoria porque es básicamente llevarle la educación a unos niños donde las regiones son apartadas. Si comparamos de pronto Montecristo no es tan apartado como otras regiones de Colombia, pero hay unas que son demasiado lejos.
Eso dura 8 días más o menos para que brote ya la flor, la matica. Dura de 3-4 meses para que ella crezca y dé fruto. Es única cosecha que da. Nosotros manejamos, como es orgánico, recogemos el fruto y la planta.
Buenas experiencias nos han dejado los microcentros. Hoy en día, en el tiempo que yo llevo aquí laborando con mis docentes, 9 años, son 9 años donde nosotros hemos venido haciendo nuestros microcentros, que los planeamos desde el mes de enero en la Semana de Desarrollo Institucional, que han plasmados en el cronograma.
Explicaba acá todo lo que han hecho, ¿no?
¿Quién fue docente de Escuela Nueva? Eso es lo que quiero que digan. A new role of the teacher is a facilitator, a mentor, and it's a much more human dimension. Somebody the child looks up to.
Por favor, se salen para ese ladito. Corren un poquito la
How did we want to change teachers' attitudes and behaviors in the classroom? Because they can know the theory. First, we wanted them to see a school that, that had all the elements in and that we wanted to move towards a visual image. So they would see it and they could say, I can do that. So that's what we call, let's say, a demo school. The second thing was train them with the same methodology they're going to be using with their children. So our teacher training manuals are designed with the same methodology they will use with their children. Because here's where you see the contradiction. In teachers' colleges, they give all this information to the teachers, but they're trained in a conventional way, and they're asked to make the change. So the conventional way is somebody speaking all the time and others listening. That's it. The third element is don't leave the teachers alone. Because of the geography of Colombia, they're so dispersed, one from each other. We used to bring them together once every month, at least, teachers' learning circles. We call them the microcenter. So they used to come, and it was for them a wonderful opportunity to see their other colleagues, to share their problems, to share their innovations, to help each other, to learn from each other, because teachers learn more from other teachers than from experts. So we found that was an amazing potential for training the teachers. So we had these 3 elements, and we used them, and it's worked. We never leave the teachers alone.
A mí me encanta la zanahoria. Bueno, ahora entre todos me van a ayudar a contar la totalidad de cada verdura.
Entonces, en este podemos diferenciar las dos sustancias y en este no las podemos diferenciar.
Este alimento es que ustedes reciben una nutrición que les va a servir para su estómago, para poder realizar sus actividades, porque muchos de ustedes en la casa no tienen.
What's remarkable about Escuela Nueva is Vicky Colbert created something incredible out of nothing. She created a model school and school system in the poorest area to demonstrate what school could be and to inspire the whole country and now much of the world to follow suit.
Adopting a growth mindset is also transforming how teachers approach education. As they face rapid technological changes from the internet to AI, educators must continuously learn and adapt to new tools and methods. Technology has removed many learning barriers, but it also demands new skills from teachers. The most effective educators embrace this change, using technology to enhance their teaching. How are teachers navigating this shift? Let's hear directly from some educators about using technology in today's classrooms.
Over the past 10 years, technology certainly has had a big impact on education. Not only has it allowed us to teach millions of learners at scale. So at edX, we have issued around 2 million certificates to students who have completed a course and passed a course. And the number of people that have learned for free and audited those enrollments are in the 120 million range already. And so we are seeing a big impact. And so technology has enabled us to achieve this amazing scale. Even in terms of quality, technology has played a big role. So for example, it is well known that instant feedback improves learning outcomes. When assignments are computer graded, students get instant feedback, and so that they can try multiple times. You remember doing homeworks, you submit a homework and you don't hear back from the professor for 2 weeks, and sometimes you never get some homeworks back. Imagine a video game, right, where video games are exciting because of instant feedback. Imagine you play a video game with a basketball game. You throw the ball in the video game and you get instant feedback. Imagine if that feedback wasn't there, and when you shot the ball in a video game, the game said, okay, come back in 2 weeks, I'll let you know if it went in or not. How exciting would that video game be? Zippo, nada. But online learning can be similarly exciting, where you get instant feedback.
Well, when I was in elementary school, I had to sit still on the table, my hands flat on the table all the time and just listen what the teacher said. Well, this is not what modern pedagogy tells us is the best and most fruitful way of learning. So we are learning new skills for the teachers how to communicate knowledge, and we need to be open to new insights in psychology, but we should also be open to using computers and all kind of electronic media for augmenting but not replacing the personal relationship with the teacher.
I could use the computer to really show people much clearer how I thought about this in my brain, about how the atoms were moving around and interacting with light, and it could be conveyed in a much cleaner, more straightforward way. And so they could now become, if you like, do what the scientists were doing, changing different conditions and seeing how that behaved. The other thing that people talk about is, artificial intelligence is going to revolutionize because it's going to make all this personalized learning. And I actually look carefully at what's really involved in personalized learning. What's involved in personalized learning is having a student thinking about something, struggling with it, having a good teacher understanding their thinking and help guide that thinking of that particular student. I'd say, the artificial intelligence one day is going to be a tremendous benefit, but it's important to understand the critical importance of what a good teacher does to make them effective.
I think since I started looking at education, people have looked at technology as the answer for improving the skills of people. And we've gone through phases of TVs and computers and so forth. And we haven't completely mastered the use of technology yet. But the pandemic actually introduced the idea that we had to take technology more seriously because people were closed out of schools and there was a lot more hybrid learning going on. And what we saw was a tremendous amount of energy that went into trying to perfect the use of technology. One of the things that we found was that technology by itself generally didn't work, that it needed a teacher along with the technology. And now we're into a phase of trying to figure out exactly how we integrate technology and teachers. This is particularly challenging in many developing countries because the teachers themselves are not very knowledgeable and they're trying to teach things that they only barely understand themselves.
Technology has the power to transform education quality and access worldwide. But significant gaps remain, and many communities still lack reliable access to the internet and to new digital tools. Innovative solutions are helping bridge this digital divide, creating more equal opportunities for learners everywhere. One pioneer in this effort is Professor Anant Agarwal. His online learning platform, edX, has provided millions with access to quality education, regardless of their location, background, or financial situation.
I think for learning, I do believe that the future of learning is blended. So whether you're on campus or you're online, the learning will be blended. Even on campus, you'll be learning online part of the time, where things like homework assignments and so on are just much better done online because you get to try multiple times, you get instant feedback. But is it important to sit in a large lecture hall with 400 students and one professor? That doesn't make any sense, where you can't fast forward and rewind and so on. As an example, I hear from students that they're all watching my lectures. I talk fast, but my students tell me they watch my lectures at 2x the speed. They mute the professor and read the transcript. So imagine this, they mute me, they read the transcript because you can read faster than I can talk, and then they play the video at 2x the speed so they can watch the video feed of the slides and so on. And so people are doing all of these things that are personalized. In a lecture, can you imagine sitting in a lecture and trying to mute the professor or fast forward the professor or rewind the professor? You can't do that. And so I think once students get a taste of online learning, it'll be really hard to sit in a large lecture hall. And so my sense is that blended learning is going to be the future of learning, where you combine both in-person learning and online learning. The goal of being able to educate 1 billion people around the world is very important to me personally, and to a lot of the professors and universities and professionals who are teaching on edX. Why 1 billion? What's so special about 1 billion? Well, the answer is simple. Education is a human right. Everybody should have access to education like the air we breathe. If at the end of the day we can only impact 1% of the world's population, then really we have not moved the needle on something that is a basic human right. So we need to get to 1 billion people, because that's when we are truly impacting the whole world.
In many schools around the world, students don't have access to proper science labs. Without equipment, how can they test ideas or develop real scientific skills? That's where PhET interactive simulations come in. Developed by Professor Carol Dweck, these free online and downloadable tools let students conduct realistic science experiments with no lab required. From chemistry to physics, these simulations give every student, even in the most remote areas, the chance to explore, experiment, and think like real scientists. In addition, around 1/3 of PhET's interactive simulations dive into the world of abstract logical mathematics, laying the foundation for the high-level tech skills that underpin scientific discovery. Let's see how this innovative solution is transforming science education worldwide.
Maabara ya chemistry, maabara ya physics na maabara ya biology, ukiongeza na hii yetu ya kompyuta. Sasa maabara hii mimi imenisaidia kwa sababu kwanza ina vifaa ambavyo vinaniwezesha kufundishia watoto. Lakini mimi mwenyewe kwanza nina mapenzi na hicho ninachokifanya, na ndio maana nimechukua muda mwingi zaidi kujifunza program mbalimbali zilizoko ndani ya teknolojia ya habari au matehama, ili mradi niweze kutranslate hizo program kwenda kwa watoto, kama ikiwepo mojawapo PhET.
We wanted to build a Disneyland for science in Africa, and we started with a STEM park. So here at the STEM park, it's a place where students, teachers, and also parents can come over. They come here, play. So it's a playful ground where they play, but while playing, they learn science out of it. The aim is just to show them that science is not that hard. Everything that you're seeing outside the world, outside your environment, is science. So our friend from Kenya, Zach, introduced as PhET. And we thought that was an interesting thing also to introduce to the pack, because we promote learning through play, and the PhET was designed like a game.
Mwanzoni inakuwa ni ngumu kwa sababu sina uzoefu na kompyuta, nakuwa sina mafunzo, na kwa watoto wetu pia ni changamoto kwa sababu wanasoma tu kwenye vitabu na kuona picha, walikuwa hawajaona kile kitu halisi. Sasa baada ya kuanza kwenda STEM Park, tunafundisha darasani somo la tarakilishi. Tarakilishi ni kompyuta. Kwa hiyo tulikuwa tunafundisha darasani, alafu tunawapeleka tena STEM Park wakaiona kwa macho. Kwa hiyo kwenye kujifunza ikawa rahisi zaidi, kwamba kumbe kitu hiki ni hiki, kwamba keyboard ni hii, screen ni hii, kiteuzi ni mouse na vitu vingine. Kwa hiyo imerahisisha kujifunza kwa kitu halisi kuliko kujifunza tu kwa nadharia. Vitendo vimesaidia sana watoto wetu kuelewa zaidi kuliko tunapofundisha tu kwa nadharia. Kwa hiyo bado ni changamoto kwa sababu mashuleni hatuna vitu vya tehama. Vifaa vya tehama hakuna, madarasa ya tehama hakuna, ni shule chache tu ambazo zina vitu vya tehama, vifaa vya tehama. Kwa hiyo bado ni changamoto katika kupata vitu, lakini watoto wako tayari kujifunza kwa kutumia tehama kwa ujumla. Hapo kwenye keyboard kuna namba, kuna herufi, hizi zinatusaidia kutumia sasa hii tarakilishi mpakato. Sawa
Ugumu ninaopata pale ni kwenye kununua bando pale. Utakuta mfano ukitaka kununua pale GB moja utakuta 2000, afu utakuta siku unataka usome afu hela una. Aweza ukaeka ikasumbua kushika mtandao pale. Ugumu ninaopata.
Kama kwenye sehemu inayonizunguka, watu wengi yani wanafukuzwa kwa sababu mtu hajalipa kodi kwenye nyumba yake. Mtu yani kupata kiwanja kwa urahisi soma yani haipo hivyo yani. Yaani watu wanapata tabu sana katika mazingira ninayokaa mimi. Kwa hiyo ndio maana napenda sana kazi hiyo, na pia najivunia kumsaidia mtu ambaye yuko kama yani maskini, hana hata sehemu ya kukaa, mtu saa nyingine anafukuzwa hajalipa kodi. Ndio maana napenda kujitoa kama hivi.
Napenda masomo ya sayansi kwa sababu nikiwa mkubwa yanaweza kunisaidia kwa vitu mbalimbali. Kama kwa mfano nimeenda unesi, nitajua vitu ambavyo nimesoma vya unesi.
Mimi mfano kama ndoto yangu ni kuwa engineer, ninahitaji sana kusoma masomo ya science na mathematics. Hivyo napenda sana science na napenda kujishughulisha na kudadisi vitu mbalimbali. Mfano kituo cha science tumeletewa ili tuweze kuwa wadadisi katika kufanya mambo na utafiti. Kwa hiyo nimekuwa nikidadisi na kufanya utafiti mbalimbali, na hakika ipo siku yangu tutaweza kufanikisha.
These are kind of people who started here with only ideas. They just came with only ideas, and we give them an opportunity to work on their ideas, and now they're nationwide showcasing their skills and innovation, and who knows, maybe there will be a future Nobel Prize winners in near future to come.
Ninayo furaha sana kutoka Project Inspire, wanamcontrol, wanamwendesha. Kwa hiyo yote inalenga kuonyesha namna gani anaweza kusaidia kutatua hizo changamoto. Pia anaweza kusaidia kufanya ukaguzi mtaani au kama ulinzi wa dunia. Naam. How are you? I'm okay. Yes.
And when he shared with me, I decided to go and visit him in Kigoma and see what he was doing. Then lucky he was among 10 people who scored higher. Then afterwards, then we have these exhibitions for Sabasaba. We said you better come and tell us what you are doing and show other Tanzanians as a young boy what is your innovations in science, so that it is. So I'm also proud of him. He has never let me down. Yeah.
This boy just called me and said, "Doctor, I got selected to attend the national competition for science and technology. Thank you very much." After that, I received even a call from the parents. And the most interesting part was we even received a call from YOSA, called Young Scientist of Africa. They have London International Youth Forum. They have selected him to attend. To attend to the forum. And this will be his first time outside the world, outside Tanzania, and the first time on a plane. He's super excited.
You know, these PhET simulations, critically important to have these kind of resources that are better and more economically accessible to more students. But at the same time, you have to have teachers and an education system that really supports students using these in the right way, thinking about the learning to be achieved in the right way. And if you're still pushing for an education is memorizing a bunch of facts and procedures that you can regurgitate on an exam, then the simulations, using them doesn't help you much. So you have to have the teachers who understand the capabilities, but also understand the educational goals that you're trying to have of people learning to think better. Then they can be a really valuable tool.
So we do train teachers here at the park, and our mode is we call the project-based integrated learning. And what we want for them to do is complement what they have at their curriculums, to give them an opportunity to design their lesson plans, to design their syllabuses and curriculums in a playful mode. Yeah, beautiful. So we can have you can use it to teach your students using your mobile platform. All of this has been able in place in order to simplify our teaching. We give an opportunity to teachers, teaching them and training them our approach of project-based integrated learning, which inside the PBIL, we have these 21st century skills that we think teachers needs and young people needs to have them as the time goes by. What are these? These are subjects, right? Like topics. Yes. The subject is physics, and topics around them is around this thing. Word can be motion, can be heat and thermal, so you can decide what to choose while you're teaching the students. For example,
nikianzia na mwaka 96 naanza kufundisha na sasa ni 2022. Kwenye kufundisha kumebadilika sana. Hata mfumo wa ufundishaji umebadilika, umekuwa wa kisasa zaidi. Kwa maana kwamba zamani tulikuwa tunafundisha watoto wanamsikiliza mwalimu anachokifundisha. Lakini kuanzia mwaka 2000 teknolojia ilianza kubadilika. Sasa hivi tunamfundisha kwanza mtoto kwanza ndio mwalimu. Kwanza kwamba ujue mtoto anafahamu nini kwenye kichwa chake kwa kile unachotaka kumfundisha. Sasa mtoto anatoa kile kitu chake anachokijua, wewe unamjazia tu mawazo mengine ya ziada kwa kile anachokijua. Lakini pia watoto wetu bado wanahitaji kupata uwezo zaidi katika kujifunza mambo ya nchi inavyobadilika. Tuchukulie mambo ya utandawazi. Wanafunzi wetu wanatakiwa sana wajue mambo ya utandawazi, kwa maana ndiyo imeleta dunia kuwa kwenye kiganja. Sasa ili uweze kupata mawasiliano na mtu wa Asia, lazima uingie kwenye teknolojia ya sasa ambayo ni science na technology. Anakuja hajui kitu gani anakwenda kujifunza. Anapofika darasani, ninapotambulisha somo linalokwenda kufundisha, ndio ninamuuliza, wewe unaelewa nini kuhusu hicho ninachokwenda kufundisha? Anieleze kwanza anakielewa, basi atajaribu kuelewa, kunieleza nielewe. Baada ya hapo na mimi sasa ninafundisha kile ninachokwenda kukifundisha. Ninamfundisha mtoto, na baada ya kufundisha ninampima kwa kumpa maswali mbalimbali ya kile nilichokifundisha. Nitakapoona majibu yake, ndipo ninapoweza kufanya tathmini kwamba somo langu limeeleweka la leo na mtoto anatoka ana kitu kichwani. Na katika kujifunza, watoto wako tofauti tofauti. Wapo watakaonielewa vizuri sana, wengine wataelewa kwa wastani, na wengine pia hawatanielewa. Lakini sitakiwi kukata tamaa, bado nitafute mbinu nyingine ya kuweza kuwafundisha ili waelewe wote kwa pamoja. Ninatamani darasa langu nikifundisha mimi, watoto wote waelewe nilichokifundisha na kiwasaidie. Waya, Mwametua, because I'm in Tanzania, in Tanga, I'm the first one to get this award. So I'm very happy, very, very happy. And God knows, STEM Park is very important. Because things believing, so they believe through me. Yeah. So I thank you very much. Even my parents, they were very happy.
If you were to pay to get inside here, how much would you wish you've been able to pay? We ask the students, not parents. The students themselves, some of them say that I can pay 200 shillings. Some of them say that I can pay 500 Tanzania shillings. So it is like 10 cents in dollars. That gives us an issue that we're working and serving the community that they cannot be able to get these skills and this access. And if we put charges, we're not helping them. So if we are not able to give them an opportunity at this time for free, we'll lose those kind of mind power, the engineers, the future doctors.
What we've learned in the last 2 decades of looking at schools is that the most important aspect of schools is the effectiveness of the teacher.
The commitment and the skills, and so to say the quality of the teacher is such a crucial thing. And also whenever you ask people like what subject in school they liked most, it is typically the one where they had the best teacher.
PhET isn't the complete solution, but also digital learning isn't the complete solution. And I think it's been way oversold in a number of regards. I mean, on the one hand, the vast majority of let's call it digital education is really becoming a talking textbook. And so you can have, somebody up there giving a lecture, which is really not much more than reading the textbook, but now people can watch it online instead of bothering to read. There's really no benefit to that. In fact, it's some loss. Right now, I'm going to claim that the human brain is vastly superior to interpreting what another human brain is thinking and giving them guidance on how to improve that. So what we need to do, and things like PhET and other things can do, is they can really, if you like, enhance the capabilities of a good teacher, greatly enhance, but you still have to have the fundamental concept of what a good teacher does and what good teaching is to make that all possible.
We've seen how technology and a growth mindset are transforming education, empowering both teachers and students to learn in new ways. Behind this progress lies years of dedicated research, policy making, and educator innovation. From Colombia's Escuela Nueva to PhET's virtual labs, creative solutions are overcoming barriers in remote areas, proving what's possible when we invest in the next generation. True, global challenges remain, from inequality to climate change. But as we've seen today, education evolves when we embrace change. By cultivating our ability to identify, address, and overcome new challenges, we're not just adapting to the future, we're shaping it. This is how education changes the world.